The mess hall was empty except for the two men sitting at a long table. Only one of them had food in front of him. The other only twirled a drink in his hand.
"All day?"
the larger, rounder man asked. He was burly, at the tail end of 50 years old, and had an impressively untamed red beard. Yarrow had arrived in Sudraj with Marat after their long trek through the deep wood to the north, and it seemed that he had no plans of leaving. The other man nodded, his eyes on the ridges of the mug.
"Last night, all day, all night," he drawled out. "With a faith like his?"
The bearded man looked suspiciously at Eros, the High Templar.
"He did not always." Eros smiled. "I'll try to get them to come out again when noon hits."
Yarrow stuffed another spoonful of honey buckwheat into his mouth.
"Can't wait to see who he tricked into his bed,"
he lisped, his eyes squinting as he both tried to grin and chew with only his back teeth. The creature in the mountains did not leave very many.
"I bet she hath a cleft lip and a tail."
Eros was too much of a gentleman to laugh, but the smile of holding it back crossed his face. He let go of the mug, allowing the water to stop swirling.
"Can't just throw her in front of a whole king's council."
Eros sighed. He had spent so long babysitting the Ember Sword in the south that this did not faze him, but Valeria's arrival and subsequent accusations of her being a witch were a bit different than keeping the other Western general in line.
"I bet she only hath one leg." "The Southerners are too traditional. She'll say 2 words, and they will hang her for being a witch."
At this, Jarl looked up at him.
"Came across the witch in the north," he said. "Didn't think her a witch at first, but there was some funny business."
"I better go try again." Eros stood. He looked at the large man and the buckwheat that was spilled all around the table and in his beard.
"You have to tell me if she hath a tail."
They had been locked in his room for so long. Ever since finding each other in the halls of the Alabaster Palace, Val and Marat spent most of their time with each other, unable and unwilling to say no. It had only been a couple of days, but the two were intent on making it a lifetime until they left the quarters. A glance, an accidental brush of fingers against skin, and it had all begun again. When night fell, they snuck out into her room. There they too barricaded the door. Like kids, they sat atop the bed and ate cabbage cakes and pudding. They bathed and spoke and told each other many things. Small things, big things, all things.
"You are almost out of pages."
Marat flipped slowly through the journal and its entries. His eyes scanned what she'd written, his eyebrows betraying his thoughts as he did. She noted that he had been impressed far more than he had been concerned. And then she saw him staring at her.
"What is the tethers of the nothing touched?"
he asked with interest, but his words came carefully spoken.